How do you feel about the government's digital currency that they're working on?
No way. That's what I think. I think that's checkmate. That's game over. There's not a vault you can go in like a fucking Guy Ritchie movie.
Imagine we're at war with a country, and then they have the best hackers, or whatever. This is all hypothetical, but you go to swipe your card and it doesn't work, and then everybody in America goes to swipe their card
and it doesn't work.
And welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the cash app and by joining the Patreon. Now you have Joe Rogan and Post Malone
giving us half-truth when it comes to Cbdc'S. Remember guys, technology can be used for good or evil. If you're only hearing the evil side, you're never going to learn about the technology. You got to hear both sides. And that's the money-making side. And if you think about all the mainstream media, all these big podcasts, if they were educating the masses about the technology a long time ago, even the sheep would be prepared. Remember, guys, this is the reason why they don't teach finances in school. And once you educate a person, guys, you bring them to the light, so therefore they don't fall for the devil's tricks. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And guys, we know we have a storm brewing in commercial property. And then also, guys, when it comes to this economy, we know they have to destroy it in order for the machines to take over. All you have to do is go to the Fed's website and look at the numbers. We have consumers with over $1 trillion in credit card debt. And we know in America, people are spoiled. And we know the NWO has something just for them. That universal basic income. They're dropping that free money. They have 3 to 6 months to spend it or poof, it's gone. Also, this money is programmable, telling you what, where, and when and how to buy. And we have biometrics moving its way in. And we had Biden does an executive order on chips and supercomputers. Guys, we know in the 80s, we were giving all this technology to China. You know I bought you plenty of videos on Reagan and Bill Clinton. Those were the main ones, but all of them have done it after Reagan. We know they're not going to hit all corporations, guys. They're playing nothing but the Hegelian dialectic. We know our big banks and big corporations are funding the rise of China and the BRICS nations. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And while the masses are distracted by things that don't matter, like Elon Musk and Zuck fighting, we know the NWO bills. We know the old CEO is a World Economic Forum puppet. And we know everything when it comes to Zuckerberg and Elon is all set up for the 4th Industrial Revolution. Driverless cars, reading the mind. And we know these platforms are for the social credit, social shopping, social working, and all of it's going to be in the metaverse. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Large parts of manufacturing are already in a recession. Europe, when you think about it, already in a recession. Office property, people are hiding, waiting for maturities, right? Couple of $1 trillion in office property debt in the U.S. and Europe.
Can we talk about office property? Because just, I would say 3 or 4 months ago, the only thing we talked about on this broadcast was office property becoming a problem come 24, and therefore becoming a problem for regional banks, becoming a problem. I mean, there was, I could show you this sort of domino story of what was supposed to happen, and I can't tell if either something meaningfully changed or if we're now all of a sudden just wearing blinders to all of this.
The things come to a head, Andrew, when you have maturities. Nobody gives up on their office property, their equity, until you have maturities. You're seeing some very large firms give up office properties already. And I think as the maturity cycle kicks in over the next 2 years, I think that's when you see this slow-moving tsunami really hit.
Okay, but you use the word tsunami, which means that something happened. It's not just one office property here, one office property there.
Yeah.
It's so many of them that then it hits other businesses.
One tree does not fall in the forest all by itself.
Okay, so, but then play out the dominoes. Do the permutations with us.
You know, I don't want to sound too alarmist, okay? Because the world today, we're in a much better place than we were in 2008 with all the issues and fractures we had, right? But if you have a $2 trillion office mortgage market in the US and Europe, which trembles, and it trembles, it's going to make credit spreads in that part of the world just kind of spike out. It's not like the subprime tree fell in the forest and nobody else heard. It's going to affect all the other credit markets.
President Biden, meanwhile, signing an executive order yesterday narrowly limiting U.S. investments in China. This is supposed to start next year. The order bans new private equity, venture capital, and joint venture investments in chips, quantum computing, and certain AI companies. It also requires Americans doing business in China to report direct investments in those sectors to the U.S. government. China is saying this morning that it is, quote, gravely concerned about the order and that it reserves the right to respond.
Hey, Andrew. Well, Chinese officials have been criticizing the president's investment curbs for certain critical technology, saying that their government is gravely concerned and resolutely opposes these measures. The foreign ministry said that Beijing lodged what they describe as solemn representations or complaints to the U.S. Also, the Commerce Ministry had added that China reserves the right to take countermeasures. However, the Chinese have held off on taking countermeasures, suggesting to some that Beijing is looking not to disrupt the current détente that they have with the U.S. The Biden administration order would restrict U.S. investors like private equity, venture capital, from putting their money into what the Biden administration has described as narrow subsets of sensitive technology like quantum computing, semiconductors, as well as certain AI, which the Biden administration is concerned could potentially end up in Chinese military systems. These measures are set to take effect after a 45-day public commentary period, which is being highlighted by the state media here. It also would apply only to new investments. But even though the Biden administration has been describing these measures as narrow, the message is being sent, which is a much bigger signal to the Chinese as well as to U.S. investors that U.S. investors should not be putting their money into high-tech Chinese tech development.
When people started talking about prohibiting U.S. investment into China 2 years ago, to use a current metaphor, people wanted to go Lina Khan on it. They wanted everything off the table, no investments in stocks and bonds, which are passive investments, et cetera. What's happened over the last 2 years is become much more narrow. Prohibitions solely, it's only prohibited advanced semiconductors and also quantum computing. In fact, it doesn't even prohibit U.S. investment into artificial intelligence. It requires, the way Treasury interprets it right now, that U.S. investments, you get a notification to Treasury if you're going to do a U.S. investment into artificial intelligence or into less advanced semiconductors. That's very different. I mean, we were talking at one point about whether or not biotech was going to be included, pharmaceuticals were going to be included, whether or not companies that involve large amounts of U.S. citizens' data were going to be included. And now it's just prohibitions on two sectors and notifications on a third sector.
Economy. And we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Crypto Teacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.